Kevin. So we have our agenda today. I'd like to talk a little bit about the foundation and what kind of updates we have. I think we have Brian online, and we'll bring Brian on to help us with that. Then I'd like to give an update on the membership program, where we are at this point in time, where we need to be, and how we're moving forward on that. We've asked Peter Rice to give us an update on the version 1.2 development progress, and so Peter will be giving us a quick update there. Kevin will take us through the work that we're doing on initiating the code, community, and content activities as part of the new board of directors driven by the membership program. That will include the membership committees themselves, as well as the working groups that have been suggested as an outgrowth of the Paris meeting, and how we're making progress on it. We've been working on our interaction and integration with the eTricks program and with Trait, and this month Anthony Rowe will give us a quick introduction on eTricks, and we'll talk a little bit about how we're working together with them and some of their upcoming events. We'll talk then, Kevin will take us through as part of our marketing activity on upcoming events over the next couple of months, and where we'd like to certainly hear from the community in terms of presentations that are being made and events that are happening that involve tranSMART, and making sure that we're helping out with that on that end. And then we'd like to hold time at the end for questions and comments from the community. Sound good, Kevin? Why don't we move on to the next slide? Let me see if we can turn on Brian's mic. Brian, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me, Keith?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Thank you, and welcome for everybody across the country and world to the monthly tranSMART community call. We've got some exciting things on the horizon. I think everybody knows that we've had an active membership program drive, and that we've booked 5 gold members. We've got several silver members lining up. We've got many bronze members from all aspects of the community, academic, industry, biotech. It's a very exciting time for us. And we're pleased to announce as we transition into the new year, and these management changes will occur today, that we are happy to announce that Keith Elliston has agreed to serve as Chief Executive Officer and President of the tranSMART Foundation. And we're very grateful for that. Michael and I, as co-founding CEOs of the foundation, with Kevin as our Executive Director, have been working very hard for this day. And we will be having a board meeting that will occur soon after the first of the year. And we will be convening our code, content, and community leadership teams coming forward into the first of the year. And I think you can see in this slide that not only has Keith agreed to take on the role, but Kevin will remain, and he will serve as community manager in North America and as secretary of the foundation. And thank you, Kevin, for agreeing to do that. We've been thrilled with everything you've been able to do with us and so far. Michael will serve as Vice President for Industry Relations. Good to have you back, Michael. He was out on travel and then was not feeling well, so he's back with us today. Chief Science Officer, I will serve in that role and look forward to working with everybody in the community in this role, both from industry, and we have several folks that have been helping out, Terry and Jay and many others. And we're bringing on a number of folks from the academic community in North America to help with that. EK will remain as CTO, and Ashley George, who hasn't had a presence on a lot of these calls, but he's had a tremendous presence in the management committee, will continue to serve as treasurer. I think, as you know, he's with GSK in the UK. And so we're using this as a nucleus, and our challenge will be to pull this all together as a management plan to present to our board of directors for approval coming on, we anticipate, early February timeframe. We'll be happy to take questions. Our job one will be to establish this new board and launch the foundation into the new year with more energy than we've had up to date, and our energy momentum is growing, and get the code, content, and community meetings working not only globally, with focus, of course, in Europe and North America, with Asia to be coming online as we go forward. Keith, I'm hoping that this is satisfactory, and once again, thank you for all your leadership and stepping up and agreeing to serve as CEO and President of the Foundation effective today. Thank you.
Well, Brian, thanks for the introduction, and I just want to say thank you to you and Michael for the effort that you put into getting the foundation up and running, to making things work really effectively, and to set things up for me. I appreciate that quite a bit.
You're absolutely. It's our pleasure. We're all committed to this. We have a team, and the way we see it, we're a community, and the tranSMART Foundation success will generate from the community that's on this call and is connected to the members on this call. So we're all here to serve.
Fantastic. Thanks.
Thank you.
So as Brian said, Kevin will be working not only in his role as Secretary of the Corporation, but also the first Community Manager for North America. One of the key things that we'll be working on in the first quarter of next year is bringing on board a Community Manager for Europe. And then ultimately, as activity grows, we'll bring on a Community Manager for Asia. This is one of the key outcomes of the meetings and discussions we've had with the members of the community. And we see one of the key roles for the foundation is, as we've talked about, being the mortar between the bricks to really hold the community together, to help move things forward. And this community manager role is really on the front lines of that effort. And then Brian, I appreciate you taking on the role of Chief Science Officer. So Brian will be taking on many of the roles in the community around particularly elements of open science and open data as we move the thing forward. And I'm pretty excited about that as well. Can I get the next slide, Kevin? As Brian said, just a quick update on the membership program. I'm going to see. I think we've got an echo in the line. I'm going to try to deal with that. Let's see.
Muted.
Does that help? Nope.
Keith, I don't know if you can hear me, but it's not coming through here.
Okay, I think Brian, it's your line that's getting a little bit of an echo. Okay, great. That's better, much better. Thanks, Brian. In terms of the membership program, as Brian updated you, we have a commitment now from groups for 5 gold memberships. We in fact have received our first membership payment. Pardon me, which has come in, and we have invoiced 3 of the 5 gold members. And so the membership program is moving forward quite nicely there. We have a number of bronze members that are committed, and we have a number of applications that are pending. We're in the process of doing a secondary call for members, working this out, as what we'd like to do is have all the members on board and set for the end of January elections and moving into the board meeting in the first new year. In addition, we are offering affiliate memberships to both eTrix and Trait as 2 of the key programs that are involved in the tranSMART community. And we look forward to bringing on board members from those 2 different efforts to really participate in the governance of the foundation. But if anyone has any interest in the membership program, if you don't have information, please contact me, Keith Elliston, or Kevin Smith at the tranSMART Foundation, and we'll work with you to get you all the information you need to move that forward. Next slide, Kevin. We'd like to give people a quick update on version 1.2. I think, as everyone knows, version 1.1 was released back in September. We had a very successful release there. The Postgres integration has gone very well. We've been working with version 1.2 as really bringing all the major code bases to a single branch to propel the foundation and the platform forward. And Peter Rice, project manager on the program, is going to give us a quick update on the progress there. So let's see if we can Peter unmuted.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine, Peter. Go ahead.
Okay, so a quick update on what's happening with 1.2. As Keith said, so 1.1 was basically to get everything working smoothly with Postgres, and 1.2 is bringing in all the things that were left behind at the time. And so getting everything working with the one true version of tranSMART. So one of the first things we have to do is to get Oracle to catch up with what we did with Postgres. So we need to make sure that everything works with Oracle as well as with Postgres with the 1.1 code. And we need to upgrade the Postgres support to Postgres 9.3, which came out just after the release. We've got some issues of performance and scalability. Some of those, I think, we expect to be addressed by Postgres anyway. And the cleanup of the code bases was proposed at the community meeting, the developer session. And then the main task is merging in all of the community developments. So there have been various developments since 1.1 came out, and there were also a number of developments going on which were basically against the older Oracle instances in various projects. And we want to bring all of those together and put them out as 1.2. So if you go on to the next slide. So we had a list of features that was voted on at the community meeting in Paris. If you want the detail of what any of these are, then the place to go to is the Paris community meeting website on Lanyard, where you can see all of the presentations and the detail of what was presented. And actually I've been doing that because they were presented in the community session and I was in the developer session, so I missed them too. So there was a vote on which of those were the most important to be included. And we've been working through those and working on volunteers. We've got volunteers, I think, to integrate most of those into, yeah, here we are. So for the highest priority ones, actually Etrix has volunteered to do them. That's because they've come from Etrix partners, or we needed them for Etrix anyway. And yes, there are a lot of new developments for Sanofi, which were done by the Hive, and they overlap very strongly with Etrix requirements. And so we'll work with the Hive on getting those in. If we go on to the next one, which is the medium priority, we believe that the original authors of these will be working on putting them in. So there is a call for the developers early in January to sort out the details of all of these. And then there were some that were considered lower priority on the next slide. And those were just voted as lower priority, but I think there may be volunteers to get those in as well. So it may be we try to do everything for 1.2, but we'll concentrate on the high priority ones as we go. There is one great unknown in all of this. Wearing my Christmas is Coming Santa Claus hat, it's been suggested it would be really nice to have this for BioIT World, and so an alpha release by April. Wearing my developer's hat until we've looked into the detail and checked what's really there under the hood and how easy it is to merge things built against older releases. We won't know for sure how easy it is to do this and what features we can really get in by April, but we'll report back on progress at future meetings.
That's great. Thanks, Peter. I think we're all pretty excited about bringing these things together. I think this is a really important development for the platform to bring all this functionality into a single code base. And I think if we're going to move the platform forward, we all have to be working from that single base and not from a lot of branches. So this is a really important effort for the community. Thank you. So one of the things that we talked about as a learning from the Paris meeting, the Paris workshop, was that the hackathons are very efficient ways of developing code and getting things to happen on a platform. In fact, when we went back and looked at some of the metrics of various commits to the GitHub, the peaks of commits really align with the hackathons that we've had as part of our workshop series. So EK and I have been working together to find a way to support additional hackathons where we can bring developers together, perhaps in some smaller, more focused groups in a way that works. And I think the challenge for this is that many of the developers that we want to bring together are not supported under the kinds of mechanisms where there's travel support to make these things happen. So we've been looking for groups that would help sponsor some of these hackathons. In particular, as part of the version 1.2, we've wanted to have 3 hackathons, one located in Boston, one in London, and one in Amsterdam, to bring the 3 different main development groups together to really work together on coding different aspects of the platform. And what I'm happy to say is that one of our members has stepped up to sponsor the hackathon in Boston. So we will sponsor, with this sponsorship from one of our members, travel for 4 developers from the Netherlands and 4 from London to attend a 3-day hackathon that will be hosted in Boston by Deloitte. And it will be hosted either at their Newton office or potentially in their Boston office, depending on how many people we bring in. I'll point out that this is an open hackathon. That is, people that are actively developing would like to participate. We'll bring people into that as we can. But the foundation is really working with members to sponsor some of the key developers and committers to the platform to come together and work on some of the key functionality here. And so we're pretty excited about this. This is tentatively planned for the first week of February here in Boston. We are looking for sponsors for 2 additional hackathons in the March-April timeframe. We'd like to have one in Amsterdam and one in London. These sponsorships are running somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 to be able to support the travel for the different developers. If your company is interested in sponsoring these to help integrate functionality that perhaps your group has brought to the platform, and you want to see that make it into 1.2, please contact me, and we can talk about how we make that happen. But I'd like to say, this is really a great thing for us to be able to get some sponsorship for hackathons and to move things forward. So I'm very, very pleased with that. Next slide, Kevin. Other direction. Okay, so I think this is where we are. One of the things we want to talk a little bit is about the activities happening with the various member committees and what's going on there. So Kevin, I'm going to turn it over for you as our North America Community Manager to take us through this.
Thank you, Keith.
Kevin?
Yes, so can you hear me now?
You might be muted, Kevin.
I thought I was unmuted.
Kevin, can you hear me?
Kevin, are you muted?
No, I'm not muted. So,
Kevin?
Keith,
Well, Terry, why don't I let you figure out what's happening there with Kevin, and I can take people through this since we seem to have a sound issue. So one of the key things that we have talked about as we put the foundation together is focusing on 3 particular committees that are organizing the 3 major aspects of the community. That is the code activity, the content activity, and then the community activities overall. And these 3 committees are composed of members that come drawn from the membership group. And again, just reminding people, if your company or organization has joined at the gold level, then your company can put voting members on each of the 3 different committees. If you're a silver member, then you can choose 2 of the committees. If you're a bronze member, you can choose 1 committee, etc. The committees will be formalizing their charters, which include not just their missions, etc., but also will be developing the various working groups that fall underneath those. And so that'll be a key element to put in place. And finally, one of the key aspects is that these committees will report to the board of directors and make recommendations to the board for various activities within the scope and mission of their context. Next slide. And did we get Kevin back yet?
Keith, Kevin's having some audio trouble, so
Okay. I'll keep going.
Okay.
So the way the committees will work, and this is what's been written into the bylaws of the of the foundation, is that the board will elect a chairperson for each committee. That chairperson will be one of either a tranSMART Foundation management team member or a community member who is a delegate for that committee. and that will be basically determined by the board of directors depending upon availability. Nominations for the chairperson will be made by the management team, so that's one of the key ways that the management team will help manage and influence this. And certainly the chairperson for each of these committees will be supported by the foundation in the activities that they need to perform as part of their duties. The chairperson will convene each committee on a schedule that they will determine is most effective. They will work to establish its charter, its authority, its composition, and its meeting schedule, which will all be presented to the board for approval. The process will be coordinated by Kevin in his role as corporate secretary, and Kevin will, when your corporation fills out its application, et cetera, you'll be given the information around the committees and what the activities and process are there. Next slide. In terms of their various committees, we've gone through the recommendations from the Paris meeting. There will be a set of working groups that will be open working groups. Any member can be a part of any working group, depending on your interest and ability to participate. Within the code area, the code committee, there are 3 working groups that will be initially convened. There's an engineering support team, a product management team, and I think most interesting to many members of this community is the architecture working group. So these will be the initial working groups that are formed under the code committee. Under the content committee, there'll be a licensing and IP working group, a shared content and open data working group, and a repository and content exchange working group. I think this is particularly important as the platform matures, and in some of our discussions with our partners at eTrix and Trait, is having shared and open content available to more broadly, and even perhaps sharing within the context of the application are really key areas that we want to develop and work forward. And so the content committee will be organizing these efforts. On the community side, we have a scientific working group, a core architecture working group, and a marketing and communications working group. And a key part of these activities in marketing and communications will not only be PR and coordination amongst the various different efforts that are working with the tranSMART platform, but in addition will be the tranSMART Foundation Certified Program, which is a marketing effort for the vendor community to really implement and broadcast the various quality standards and metrics that we'll be putting in place across these 3 different activities. So I think this is giving you a good sense of what we'll be convening in the first quarter of next year. I think it's also a good reason for groups to make sure that if you're not already, to become part of the membership program at an appropriate level so that you can actively participate in these activities. Next slide. In terms of the committee and working group charters, we've been following a set of standards that have been established in the nonprofit world for these types of committees. But in essence, a committee charter should include the charge or mission statement. We've talked a little bit about those when we were at the Paris workshop. That process has been started. In addition, we want to have authorities and responsibility of the committee in terms of clarifying for everyone how they work together, what kind of activities that these perform, and then how this information percolates to the board of directors. The committee composition, including its various guidelines for appointing members and officers. And again, these will be driven by a nominating committee from the management team at board level, and people will then also apply for which committees that they want to be involved in. And so each member company will then be able to place its members on these committees based upon their membership levels. And then finally, of course, the schedule, when and how meetings will be held, the agendas, meeting minutes, etc. Since the foundation is broadly spread across the Europe, North America, and Asia, I think that how we manage this from a collaboration perspective, how we share the information, etc., is quite important, and the foundation will be making some recommendations around that. And I think we have a couple of questions that we'll get to, I think, Terry, as soon as we're done. Is that okay?
Yep.
So Ward, hang on. We'll get to your question in a moment. I want to give Anthony some quick time to run through the eTrix presentation. So Terry, if we can unmute Anthony's mic.
Kevin's probably doing that. He can hear, but he can't talk.
Okay, Anthony, are you there? Anthony, let's see.
Anthony
I see that he's
Rao.
on. It looks like he's on the phone, and it says he has to send the audio pin *69* to enable.
Hang on, I will. Yes. Anthony, you need to dial *69* on your phone. There you go. Excellent. All right.
Hi, can you hear me?
Now we can hear you,
Hi.
Anthony.
Hi, you can hear me? Great, fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
So let me just give a quick preference, Anthony, is that one of the things the foundation is working towards is helping to coordinate a number of activities across the entire community. One of the major programs that's out there using the tranSMART platform and is a key member of the community is the eTrix program, which is part of the IMI. And in fact, a number of the key management team members from the foundation also have appointments with eTrix. That includes EK Go, who leads Work Package 2, co-leads Work Package 2, and Michael Braxton-Thaler, who leads the Work Package 3 as part of the eTrix program. But we're working very, very closely with the group, working on how we coordinate, and I'd like to give Anthony an opportunity to give us some quick insights into the eTrix program. So Anthony, with that.
Thank you. And next slide, please. So eTrix, for those who are familiar with it, and I know many people on this call already are, but it stands for the European Translational Information and Knowledge Management Service. And this is a large public-private partnership that has been set up in Europe between 10 pharmaceutical partners and a highly committed group of academic groups led by Imperial College in London, but also including the CRNS group in Luxembourg, CRNS group in Lyon, the University of Luxembourg, CDISC, BioSci Consulting, and IDBS, all of whom are really coming together as a collection of academics and industry providers to look at how we can provide knowledge management services in complex translational research collaborations. And so eTrix is a group of people who are dedicated to pushing forward tranSMART. We provide a large development resource in cooperation and collaboration with the tranSMART Foundation. Both Peter Rice and EK Guo are also members of eTrix, as has been mentioned. But our focus is really on trying to look at how do you build cross-company collaborations and how do you use the tranSMART platform to help share data between organizations, share data as a way of increasing collaboration and operations. And really, this in turn drives the efficiency of translational research by reducing the cost of translational research and knowledge management, because you're not having to re-implement the same technology every time. You're able to allow the wider consortiums, the non-statisticians, to really explore the data and get hands-on with their data, and that's really what we're trying to enable. Not everything having to go through that tightly managed group of bioinformaticians, but instead giving people the ability to explore and understand the data themselves. And also, from our perspective, trying to facilitate cross-study analysis, trying to enable people to leverage data and reuse data in different contexts in ways that the original groups hadn't imagined doing it before. So eTrix is an active project. It's going to be running for the next 4 years, and with a budget of about 24 million euros behind it, both from industry partners and from funding from the European Union. And that's the project in a nutshell. If I can go to the next slide, please. What we're really here to talk to you about today is that we are hosting our first workshop, Translational Research Knowledge Management in Action, hosted by eTrix, but on Friday the 31st of January in 2014. And this is really trying to bring together our entire community of users from industry partners, from academic consortiums and large public-private consortiums that we're supporting, as well as some senior leadership and some thought leaders in the role of knowledge management and collaboration, to come together to really look at how we can take the next step in terms of leveraging and reusing this data. And so I would encourage anyone who is available to come to Barcelona and make a long weekend of it, potentially, but come to Barcelona on Friday the 31st of January to come to us, to register here and come join us to really look at how we can take the science of translational knowledge management forward. If we can go to the next slide, please. Just a briefing, we have a keynote speaker, which is Ewan Burney of the ENCO project and also the EBI, really talking about how he facilitated that collaboration. We have the knowledge management leads from a variety of IMI public-private partnerships coming. So the groups such as OncoTrack, the groups such as UBioPred, large collaborations trying to solve complex problems who are using tranSMART as part of their technology stack, really going to come together and start telling about how tranSMART has enabled them to do science more efficiently. We're really going to try and focus on how to deploy tranSMART to support complex consortia, how to manage the security, how to manage the types of legal and ethical understandings you have to do when working in complex cross-country consortia. And of course, the tranSMART Foundation will be providing updates of their platform and how the foundation is evolving. So once again, I think this is a great opportunity for those of you who are in Europe or would wish to come to Europe to really look at how the eTrix group is using tranSMART and contributing to the tranSMART community in supporting these very complicated IT projects, because they're the ones that are really going to deliver transformational information in our knowledge of medicine. And this is a great opportunity to meet some of those people trying to drive that science and look at how they use this technology. So I'll leave the URL up there for a second, but if you could register, anyone who's interested in registering at that link, this is an open meeting, so please do join us.
That's great. Thanks, Anthony. And I would point out that, as you said here, that a tranSMART representative will be giving a discussion there as well, particularly highlighting some of the ways that that we're working together with the eTrix platform and program, as we, not just in the past, but as we go forward as well. So thank you very much for that. Kevin, do we have the next slide? Would you take us through the upcoming events, or are you still having audio issues?
Can you hear me?
I'll take the silence as still having audio issues. In terms of upcoming events, one of the key things that we have coming forward is the tranSMART Community Meeting in 2014. I'm looking at this and I'm not exactly sure I know what those string of dates are. Oh yes, now I know what they are. In terms of our community calls, we have those scheduled for the once a month at this time period. So those are scheduled tentatively now for January 21st, February 18th, March 18th, for all those in the U.S., April 15th, which is tax day, May 20th, and June 17th. One of the other key issues, upcoming events, is the eTrix Community Meeting, which is in Barcelona on January 31st. There is also the eTrix community, the TRAIT Community Meeting, which is happening, I believe, the week before in the Netherlands, and we'll get some details out to people on that. There's the first hackathon for version 1.2 will be in Boston, tentatively for the first week in February, and we'll let people know as that firms up. There's the Molecular Medicine, Informatics, Big Data Tri-Conference by CHI in San Francisco. Dan Hausman will be giving a talk on the tranSMART platform at that meeting. There's the upcoming AMIA meeting, AMIA 2014. I believe that is also in San Francisco in April, the 7th through the 11th, and there will be several tranSMART discussions there. The BioIT World coming up April 29th to May 1st, and on the 29th, I believe it is, we'll be having a pre-conference workshop for the foundation. This is a 3-hour program that we will be hosting. There'll be a number of vendors there supporting the platform. We'll have a number of discussions and talks about the recent developments. And hopefully, Peter, my fingers are crossed here, we'll be talking about the recent release of version 1.2. If we can make that happen at that time period. And then finally, we've been organizing a workshop for ISMB 2014. We're still putting together that application. We have to have it in by the end of this week. If anyone would like to participate in that or add any information to that, Brian Athey and Kevin Smith are coordinating that for the foundation. So you'll see in all of our community calls in the near future, we'll have these upcoming events and some other key aspects of what are happening with our marketing calendar. Next slide.
Keith, there's a note in the questions from Ward on when the Trait Consortium is meeting.
Great. Would you like to comment on that?
Hang on, let me get there. Where did my mouse go? My
I see it here. The
Yeah,
Trait
my mouse
Consortium
just
meeting
died.
is January 29th. And if you go to the lanyard site, you'll find the Trait Consortium meeting there. Let me see if I can post this to the group here, which I think I can. I'll chat to the entire audience. Thanks, Ward. In fact, let's
Yeah, I see
ask Ward to give us a little information.
Kevin just edited it into the slide also.
Hey, Ward, I'm just unmuted. You want to say a little bit about the Trait Consortium meeting?
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me well.
Yes,
Yes.
we can hear you fine.
Oh, great. But actually, I don't know much about it yet. But I think one note is that it's in theory a closed meeting, but you can register. So please register if you want to come.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ward.
Great.
Okay. Overall, then I think if we want to take some questions, we have questions online here.
Ward, are you still on? Did you want to say something about the JIRA that you set up?
Well, yeah. What I commented on was that we created an NGS working group based on request by Alvaro Cortez. So if he's on the line, he might be the better person to speak about this. But
who is that?
So we had a community call with a group of people on NGS support in tranSMART.
Mm-hmm.
And Alvaro formed like a working group on this. And yeah, this is indeed, you can find the working group on the JIRA of the tranSMART Foundation. So if you have requests, or if you're working on, if you're planning to work on next generation sequencing support in tranSMART, please put it there in the tickets of the JIRA.
Fantastic. Great.
Great. Thank you.
There aren't any other questions, Keith.
Okay, well, let me ask is, if anybody wants to raise their hand, make any comments, anything of that nature. We have a couple of minutes left. Would love to hear from the community. I don't see anybody raising their hand or asking questions. Give it another minute. Okay, well, I think with that, sorry about the audio difficulties we had. I think overall we've gotten this to work pretty well. Terry, I'd like to thank you for your support with this. Also, Kevin, you've done a great job in putting this together. And Kevin, in his new role as community manager for North America, will be taking on some of these additional duties around this. And as I said, we're working diligently to identify someone who can do the same for Europe and work with things there. I'd like to also thank Brian and Michael for all the effort they put in leading the foundation for the past 12 months or so, and I'm really looking forward to how we move the foundation forward from this point on. Really excited about taking on the role of CEO and look forward to working with everyone who is there. So I'd like to thank everyone for joining today. It's been great. We've had I think about 40 people have joined today. Love to get more people on the call, so if there are people that you think should be here and weren't, make sure that they're here for the next community call. We'll keep updating people as we go, and I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season, and we will talk to you again in the new year. So again, I'd like to thank everyone overall. Terry, did you have something to add?
Yeah, there was a comment from Gil asking if you are intending to say anything about the board composition at this point.
I think we talked a little bit about the board early on. I could make a quick comment there. To date, our board is planned to be 15 members, 10 derived from the membership program. 5 of those roles will be driven by the gold membership, 3 by the silver membership, 2 by the bronze membership. To date, we have five groups that have identified themselves for gold, 3 that are committed. So there may be 2 slots there. We currently have, for the silver memberships, we do not have any committed members at this point. We have several that have expressed interest. So I think if you want to commit at the silver member level, there are 3 board positions that are open for silver members, and I would encourage people to take advantage of that. We are also filling 5 at-large seats. 1 of those will be dedicated to E-Trix, 1 to the trait program, and then 3 additional at-large positions that will be put in place. So from the board composition perspective, that's all coming together, driven largely by the membership program. And you'll hear more about that as we have our next community meeting, which will be just prior to the election for the new board for 2014. Gil, did you want to say anything more about that? We can give you an opportunity here. Just unmute Gil's line. Gil, did you want to say anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Gil.
Yep.
Okay. Well, no, I think that's the scheme for the board, and it's coming together very nicely. Keith and I had a good long chat about the likely candidates for some of these positions, and obviously we hope to have more information for you next time.
Fantastic. And if those of you who may not know, Gil is the chairman of the board for the foundation, and so Gil and I are working together diligently as we put the new board together and establish the various working aspects of the board and governance. Thanks, Gil.
Thank you.
So I think if there aren't any other questions, I'm looking, I don't see any other questions there.
Nope.
So I think with that, I'll thank everyone for coming. Thank you for your time and attention. I look forward to speaking with you in the new year. Thank you.